A cozy evening. Her hands warm my skin as she wraps her arms around me, pulling me close. I relax into her embrace, feeling the comfort that only she can provide. The sound of laughter fills the room as we sit on the couch, watching our favorite show. The TV blares a comedic scene from The Simpsons, a show I never particularly liked, but Connie found it amusing. I stand in the doorway of the living room, watching her giggle at Homer's antics. She is cozily bundled in our thick bedspread, adorned with ivy and flowers of all kinds. Her laughter lights up the room, and I can't help but smile. "Will you warm me, Mel?" she asks, looking up with those inviting eyes. I nod and she opens the blanket wider. Nestling into the couch beside her, I pull the soft fabric around us, creating our own little sanctuary. She snuggles against my side, and I rest my head on top of hers. "Thank you, Mel," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the sitcom. I take a moment to appreciate the sound of her gratitude, feeling the warmth of her body against mine. As the show continues, I gaze at her and watch as her eyelids grow heavier. Before long, she succumbs to sleep, her breathing becoming more rhythmic and serene. With tenderness, I lean down, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead. She stirs slightly but remains in her deep slumber. I lift her effortlessly, cradling her light frame in my arms. Carefully, I lay her down on the bed, ensuring she's comfortable. I lie down beside her, enjoying the peacefulness of the moment. I brush a strand of hair from her face and lightly kiss her cheek, feeling grateful for her presence. She doesn't wake. She simply continues to sleep soundly, and I take a moment to monitor her pulse, relieved to find steady beats. I could never dream of losing her. As the room grows darker, the TV flickers with static, the show long since over. Yet I remain beside her. I find comfort in her peacefulness, my heart full as I listen to her soft breaths. Eventually, I wake to the stillness of the room, the night enveloping us both. Connie remains nestled against me, so tranquil. I can't resist placing gentle kisses on her cheeks, her forehead, and each precious feature, appreciating the beauty of her slumber. In that quiet moment, I feel her stir and return my affection with a sleepy smile. We lie together, wrapped snugly in the blankets, engulfed by the warmth of our love. Just being together is enough. Pure and simple joy. Just engulfed. As the morning sun began to peek through the curtains, casting gentle rays across the room, I awoke to the delightful sound of birds chirping outside. The world felt fresh and full of possibility. I turned to see Connie still asleep beside me, her hair illuminated by the warm glow of sunlight, creating a halo around her peaceful face. I smiled at the sight. Moments like this, where time seemed to stand still, were rare and precious. I reached out and brushed my fingertips against her cheek, marveling at how blessed I felt to have her in my life. She stirred slightly at my touch, a soft smile forming on her lips as she opened her eyes, blinking against the light. "Good morning, sleepyhead," I said softly, trying to keep my voice gentle so as not to startle her. Connie stretched like a cat, her body elongating as she yawned. "Good morning, Mel," she replied, her voice still raspy with sleep. She nestled back into the blankets, a contented sigh escaping her lips as she buried her face in the pillow. "Want to make some breakfast?" I asked, though I could tell she was tempted to stay cocooned in the warmth of our bed. "Can we just stay here a little longer?" she pleaded, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I liked this moment. I chuckled, knowing just how much she loved these lazy mornings. "Okay, just a few more minutes," I replied. We settled back into the comfort of the blankets, enjoying each other's company. I traced lazy patterns on her arm, feeling her warmth seep into me. We talked about everything and nothing, our dreams for the week, silly memories from our past, and the adventures we wanted to go on together. After a while, I felt my stomach rumble, a reminder that breakfast was indeed necessary. "All right, I'm officially too hungry to stay in bed," I announced dramatically, pushing myself up from the bed. Okay. You win," Connie surrendered, sitting up with a groggy smile. What are we making? Pancakes? I can whip up some fruit to go with them, I suggested, already imagining the sweet aroma filling our kitchen. That sounds perfect, she beamed, her eyes lighting up at the idea. We both shuffled into the kitchen, and I started pulling out the ingredients. Cooking together was one of my favorite activities. We worked well as a team. Connie set about slicing strawberries and bananas while I mixed the pancake batter, our banter light and full of laughter. Why do you always sing while you cook? She asked teasingly, glancing over her shoulder. Because it makes the pancakes taste better. I laughed, pretending to sing louder as I stirred. Connie rolled her eyes playfully as she focused on her task. If you say so, she replied, stifling a grin. Eventually, we sat down together at the small kitchen table, plates piled high with fluffy pancakes drizzled with syrup and topped with fresh fruit. We savored each bite, discussing our plans for the day. A visit to the local art museum, a stroll through the nearby park, and perhaps dinner out at our favorite restaurant. As we talked, I couldn't help but steal glances at Connie, trying to memorize every detail of her smile, the way her eyes sparkled with excitement. I felt a warmth in my heart, knowing that no matter what we did, being with her was always the best part of my day. After breakfast, we cleaned up together, our hands brushing against each other in small, intimate gestures. The simple act of being in sync as we dried dishes and put things away deepened the connection we shared. With the kitchen tidied up and the day ahead of us, as I moved toward the door, I turned to Connie, who was leaning against the counter, a playful smile on her face. Ready for our adventure? Absolutely, she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. We headed out, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever the day had in store for us. The sunlight wrapped around us as we walked, embodying the warmth and love that radiated between us. With every step, I knew this was just another beautiful chapter in our story, one filled with laughter, joy, and the comfort of our shared lives. As we stepped outside, the vibrant colors of the world enveloped us. The sun hung high in the sky, illuminating the trees with golden light, casting playful shadows on the ground as we walked side by side. The gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, adding an extra layer of sweetness to the day. Have you ever been to the art museum before? Connie asked, glancing over at me, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. I went once when I was younger, but I barely remember it, I admitted. I'm excited to see it again, especially with you. I think we'll have a blast. We walked through the bustling streets, passing shops and cafes filled with people enjoying the beautiful day. I noticed couples hand in hand, families laughing, and friends chatting animatedly, all adding to the vibrant atmosphere. Connie and I exchanged smiles, caught up in the euphoria of being together. When we arrived at the museum, its grand entrance towered over us, adorned with colorful banners announcing the latest exhibits. We entered, excitement bubbling within me as we were greeted by the cool air of the interior, a welcome contrast to the warmth outside. I hope there are some contemporary pieces. I love those, Connie said enthusiastically as we walked toward the main gallery. I like the classics too. Let's see if we can find a nice balance, I replied, my heart swelling at her passion for art. We wandered through the galleries, taking our time to admire the breathtaking paintings and sculptures. Connie was in her element, a wide grin plastered on her face as she marveled at each piece. She would occasionally pull me close, her finger tracing the outlines of a painting, while she passionately explained its significance or the story behind the artist. Look at this one. The colors are just incredible, she exclaimed, standing before a large canvas splashed with vibrant hues. It's as if the artist captured emotions rather than just objects. I watched her, captivated not only by the art but also by the way her eyes lit up with fascination. There was a spark within her that ignited my own love for creativity and expression. I leaned closer, admiring her perspective, and intertwined my fingers with hers as we stood there, finding comfort in each other's presence. After what felt like hours of exploration, we decided to take a break in the museum cafe. Sitting at a small table, we ordered 2 cups of coffee and a slice of rich chocolate cake to share. "This is the perfect day," I said, taking a sip of my drink and gazing around at the art-infused environment. Connie nodded enthusiastically. "I couldn't agree more. I love experiencing these things with you. It makes everything so much more special." I smiled, feeling warmth spread through me at her words. Our conversation flowed effortlessly as we recapped our favorite pieces from the galleries and discussed our aspirations, dreams, and everything in between. With our energy replenished, we ventured back into the heart of the museum. Our next stop was the contemporary art section, where bold concepts and innovative techniques awaited us. I watched as Connie's eyes widened with excitement, her genuine appreciation for art shining through. We spent the next hour exploring the modern exhibits, occasionally stopping to capture photos in front of installations that resonated with us. I took countless candid shots of Connie, her laughter echoed through the gallery, and I couldn't help but feel grateful for the moments we were creating together. As we neared the end of our museum journey, we stumbled upon an interactive exhibit that invited visitors to contribute their own artwork. Connie's eyes sparkled with mischief as she grabbed my wrist and tugged me toward the space. "Let's do it," she urged, bouncing on her toes with enthusiasm. "Are you sure? I'm not much of an artist," I chuckled, but the excitement in her eyes was contagious. "Come on. It'll be fun," she insisted, her enthusiasm impossible to resist. We each picked up brushes and some vibrant paint, diving into the collaborative canvas. Connie urged me to use bold strokes, while I shyly added little details, watching as our colors intertwined to create something uniquely ours. Laughter filled the room as we playfully splattered paint on one another, a rebellious act that may have raised a few eyebrows from the onlookers, but we were lost in our own world. Finally, after a good half-hour of vibrant creativity and friendly banter, we stepped back to admire our masterpiece. It was a chaotic mix of colors, swirls, and splatters, but to us, it represented a joyful shared experience. "That looks amazing," Connie beamed, looking at me with pride. "We did that together." I was overwhelmed with happiness, not just about the painting but the experience of being completely ourselves together. "I can't believe we made this mess, but it's beautiful." Connie leaned in closer, and I turned toward her. "Just like us," she whispered, a warm smile playing on her lips. I felt a flutter in my heart as I looked into her eyes, realizing just how true those words were. In that moment, surrounded by splashes of color and the energy of the museum, I knew that every moment we shared, messy, chaotic, and filled with laughter, was beautiful. As we left the museum hand in hand, I felt a sense of fulfillment wash over me. I was excited for the adventures still awaiting us. Each day a new canvas, ready to be painted with the vibrant colors of our love and life together. As we stepped out of the museum, the sun had reached its zenith, casting a warm golden light down upon the world that felt alive in every sense. The streets hummed with energy, filled with laughter, the sounds of street performers, and the inviting aromas wafting from nearby cafes. Connie and I took a leisurely stroll through the park, the vibrant colors of flowers blooming around us, echoing the vibrancy of our day. We found a quaint bench beneath a blooming cherry blossom tree, its delicate petals drifting down like soft rain. We sat together, our hands intertwined, watching as children played nearby, couples walked hand in hand, and friends shared stories and giggles. I felt a sense of peace as I rested my head on Connie's shoulder, taking in the beauty of the moment. "Today was amazing," she remarked, her voice soft as she gazed at the blossoming tree. "I love how art can bring people together. You know?" "Absolutely," I agreed, feeling gratitude swell within me. "I'm so glad we got to experience it together. Our little masterpieces contribute to the bigger picture of our lives." Connie turned her head to look at me, her eyes reflecting the joy of the day. You've always understood me, Mel. It's like we're weaving our own story, combining all the colors of our experiences. I smiled, feeling warmth spread through my chest. And just like that painting, it's beautifully messy, unique, and filled with love. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the park, a sense of nostalgia washed over me. I wanted to freeze this moment in time, to hold on to it tightly as if it were a treasure. Sensing my contemplation, Connie squeezed my hand gently and leaned closer. Hey, wherever life takes us, I want you to know that I'm in this with you. Always, she said softly. My heart fluttered at her words, and I turned to meet her gaze. I feel the same way. No matter the ups and downs, I want to enjoy every little moment with you. With a warm smile, she reached up to tuck a loose strand of hair behind my ear, her fingers lingering on my skin for a moment longer than necessary. It felt like the world around us faded away, and it was just the two of us in our little haven beneath the cherry blossom tree. Let's always make time for moments like this, she said, her voice filled with conviction. Let's always embrace our little adventures, whether it's in a museum or right here in the park. Deal, I replied, my voice steady and resolute. To many more adventures together. As dusk approached, we rose from the bench and wandered hand in hand once more, the sun slowly setting and painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The world was alight with possibilities, and I felt a renewed sense of hope for our journey ahead. Our final stop that day was our favorite restaurant, where familiar scents greeted us like old friends. As we took our seats and flipped through the menu, I couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. Everything felt perfect, the conversation flowed easily, the laughter intertwined with every bite, and the simple moments held a weight of love that filled my heart to the brim. When dinner came to an end, we stepped outside to find the stars beginning to twinkle in the evening sky. The moon was bright, illuminating the path before us as we walked home. With each step our connection deepened, our hearts beating in sync, a rhythm that felt perfectly matched. As we reached our apartment, Connie turned to me, her eyes shining in the moonlight. I'm so grateful for today, Mel. I had the best time. Me too, I replied earnestly, stepping closer to her. Every moment we spent together was a gift. Before I knew it, she was wrapping her arms around me, pulling me into a warm, tender embrace. I closed my eyes, letting the moment wash over me. This feeling of belonging and love. When we finally pulled back, I looked into her eyes, feeling the deep connection that tied us together. Together we can paint our lives with all the colors we imagine, I said, my voice filled with hope for what the future held for us. She smiled brightly, nodding in agreement. Together always. And with that promise we stepped into our shared future, ready to fill our lives with more adventures, laughter, and love, holding on to each moment, beautiful, messy, and filled with endless possibility.